Professional services firm Aon, which helps clients manage risk across commercial, reinsurance, health, and wealth issues, held its first investor day in nearly 20 years on Monday. During the event, the company outlining its plans for growth and discussing megatrends most impacting clients across trade, tech, weather, and the evolving workforce. Joining me now to discuss those and more, Gregory Case. He's the CEO of Aon. Thank you so much for joining us in studio.
Madison, absolutely a pleasure to be here today, and really look forward to the conversation.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Greg. So let's start with those trends that are impacting clients. Obviously, you manage risk. That's a key part of your role, of course, for the company. What is the risk that folks are most worried about that you're hearing from?
Well, I have to say, Madison, and you mentioned our investor day. This is what we talked about yesterday quite a bit. Investors were very excited to sort of understand risk in a comprehensive way. We talked about 4 megatrends, really around trade, technology, weather, and workforce. And all these trends, it turns out they're everywhere globally at all sizes of companies, large, medium, and small. So there wasn't any single one that came out. The central theme was around the connectivity of these risks and how powerful it is to sort of see them come together. So if you think about sort of the implications of weather on workforce, massively important, not just in concept anymore, but if you're thinking about how you put workers on the field in heat environments above 120 degrees, but you can't do that, how do you react to that? How do you think about it? So it was really around helping our investors and our shareholders understand how we approach the world as we support our clients in the context of these mega trends that impact what they do every day.
And I'd love to hear more about how you're advising folks to approach trade challenges, as we obviously have the U.S. and China in talks today regarding trade. It continues to be a developing policy measure. What are you hearing from folks about their worries, and what are they doing to address?
Wow, I will tell you, the Megatrends report came out in May of 24. So that's before the election and before April 2nd. And we talked about trade at that point in terms of global supply chain, the volatility in global supply chain, how you think about current and how you might shape it over time. All these things sort of were front and center as a megatrend before tariffs.
Right. Well, it was post-COVID too. I mean, supply chain managers,
exactly
we've
right.
had empathy for them for years now.
Right, and even more so in Madison, it was acute before April 2nd. Then you add on top of that additional potential volatility with tariff. And so, we have a number of things we do to help clients understand risk in detail. By the way, understanding in a way in which you can do something about it. So, we have a supply chain diagnostic that will actually value sort of impact of things like tariffs. I will tell you, April 2nd, the announcement happens. April the 11th, we do a webinar. I'm wondering, who's showing up for the webinar? 6,000 clients and participants show up for the webinar on literally help us understand what this might mean for volatility in our supply chain. Does the current one get better or worse? Do we have to shift supply chain overall? How does one think about that? What's the timing of that? So all these sort of questions are embedded in how do we take action in a world that actually was volatile before, but might have new sources of volatility. This certainly was one of them. So that's the nature of the conversation we're having, to get the very explicit moves that clients can think about making.
And that's really helpful in terms of understanding sentiment amongst your clients. We had a source on the show yesterday from Citizens who said that he suddenly heard from his private banking clients that they think we're in a normal now, and the market is acting like trade policy is normal. Have you heard less concerns from folks since April 2nd than you did initially? Or what has that sentiment change looked like, if anything?
I will tell you, we live in the world of clients. This is what we do every day. We're talking to literally, and we're in 120 countries around the world. We're talking to all clients, large, medium, and small. So we really do get a window in the raw feed at the front line. And in that regard, there's been no back off. Trade was a mega trend before, more volatility. We're helping clients today think about what courses to take. I would say one underlying theme, though, that might be interesting to your listeners is this is about taking action. You learn from COVID that inaction is not a good action, and hope is not a strategy. You've got to understand volatility in a way in which you can do something about it. And in the course of trade, same with technology, weather, and workforce, it requires real specific understanding so that you can walk down the hall to your colleagues in the C-suite and say, here's what we're doing about what we understand the situation to be, and you actually have a plan and action. That actually is not backed off in the least.
So what is the right action item? We've heard from some companies in their earnings reports to diversify to as many countries as possible so that they have that really diverse supply chain. What is the recommendation?
So there is no recommendation. There is what's specific to a client strategy, what's important to them, what they're trying to accomplish. In some cases, it may be diversify. In some cases, it may be double down, depending on where they are and what they're doing. And you're always measuring that against a deep understanding of volatility. This is the other piece we talked about in our Investor Day, which is we've got a tour de force effort and a set of analytics, all with embedded AI in the middle of it, that is really around understanding volatility. And understanding global supply chain in the context of tariffs is a massive undertaking. And it's got to be addressed so you can take action.
Well, let's talk about AI. What are you hearing in terms of any movement towards labor replacement with the use of AI going forward?
Well, I'll touch on the trend and then I'll touch on Aon. The megatrend is really, if you think about the megatrend of technology with workforce, consider that literally 40% of the roles as they exist today, 40% have got to be retooled in the next 5 years. This is like an astounding number in terms of coming back to where we are. From our standpoint, listen, we've been doing this, involved in AI, generative AI, for quite some time. Our view is we are the only bet in our industry on embedded AI at scale, the only bet. And the reason is two. One is high fidelity data. Without incredibly high fidelity data on a global scale, this is the engine that really drives the insight that comes out of AI and what we're doing analytically. And then the second is how we're structured. We describe it as a connected, united firm. We're 60,000 colleagues in 120 countries, but we call it Aon United. It really means that we've got to be talking to each other. It's got to be able to be scalable. And for us, we've got 15,000 colleagues working in a group called Aon Business Services, which is really the engine that sort of drives this, the embedded AI. They then get scaled to 60,000 as we deliver for clients. So for us, look, we've been taking this seriously for a long, long time, and we are coming up with a set of analyzers and insights. So we've got a supply chain diagnostic. We've got analyzers in all core aspects of our business that we take to clients to give them insight they wouldn't have otherwise had to make decisions that are better and faster than they would have otherwise done. So for us, we're all in on this one.
So to what degree do you see clients taking that information and replacing workers with AI?
Well, it is both. It is action, and there is opportunity for replacement in many respects. In some respects, there's also opportunity for amplification. Amplification, literally, the group you've got, how they can be better. And opportunities you bring people in that you're just not adding, but you're also making them better as you do that. So it is really a combination. There is no one size fits all. I know the focal point is around subtraction, but for us, we look at it as defend the house and build the house. How do you actually defend and understand the volatility so you can actually take action to prevent it? But also, how do you think about growth and how you drive growth in a way that fuels your business in a productive way? Not just with efficiency, but really a better answer on the field for your clients so that you can actually grow. Both pieces.
Greg, really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much for coming in.
Great pleasure, Madison. Thanks so much.